courtesy of Slingshot Bikini. This is the song Expo 58. It's from their album Ultimo Hombre, and you can find them at slingshotbikini.bandcamp.com. But wait until you're done listening to this episode of the podcast devoted to the classic and sometimes not so classic genre cinema of yesteryear. This is Monster Kid Radio, and my name is Derek M. Cook. Welcome to the show. Big thanks to the band for letting us play their music here on the show. They're a cool surf band based out of Turnhout, Belgium. Again, check them out at slingshotbikini.bandcamp.com or follow the link in the show notes. But again, wait till you're done listening to this because we've got an awesome episode this week. We are continuing our look back at a convention that I wasn't able to get to, so I have to live vicariously through the experiences that I've been reading about Monster Bash. Man, I love Monster Bash. Monster Bash is my favorite convention. It's an amazing time, amazing people, amazing guests, talking about amazing movies. I am going to get back to Monster Bash someday, but in the meantime, I have dedicated listeners who do go to Monster Bash and capture audio to share with all of you here on the podcast. And courtesy of Mike R., we have a recording with the only child of Quad Rains. Jessica Rains was a special guest at Monster Bash this year, and we have a recording of her Q&A session. So you're going to be hearing that here on the show. It's a fun time. She's really getting into it. It's a fun conversation, and one thing that I really like about Monster Bash, and I wish other conventions would do this when they do like Q&As or panels and things like that, when they take questions from the audience, the person up on stage, the moderator, repeats the question. And I want to thank everybody at Monster Bash for doing this little bit of professional work to make sure that everybody can hear the question, because it makes my job easier when I'm processing the audio for y'all. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. A big thanks to Mike for making sure we have some Monster Bash coverage. It's helping me out because, as we've discussed in previous episodes, Beth and I are moving to the Phoenix area down in Arizona. So, while we are packing and dealing with all of that, Beth's actually already down in Arizona at this point. So I'm doing all the packing and trying to organize things. I am so far behind. Don't tell her I said that. I get a little bit of a breather with these extra recordings coming in from Mike, so thank you. Also this week, Mark Matzke's back with a Beta Capsule review. He's still talking about Ultraman, because what else is he going to talk about? We love Ultraman. And we've got Kenny's look at Famous Monsters of Filmland this week as well. We've got all that coming up, so here we go.
All you've ever wanted in entertainment in one superb show. Here is matchless story, suspenseful, terrifying, never so thrillingly presented. Here in breathtaking technicolor is superb spectacle and splendor and romance. Here is a chorus of 100 voices, a ballet of 100 dancers, a cast of 1,000, starring Nelson Eddy in his most vigorous performance, lovely Susanna Foster, and Claude Rains in the most coveted role of the year as the Phantom of the Opera.
My music! You've stolen it! You've stolen my music!
Have something you'd like to share with Monster Kid Radio? You can email the podcast at monsterkidradio@gmail.com, or you can call and leave a voicemail at 360-524-2484.
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. Ultraman Ace, Episode 11, terrible monster is 10 women? One day, Radar Base Number 3, one of TAC's communications networks, was suddenly raided by terrible monster Unatang. Yamanaka and Yoshimura, who were patrolling the sky nearby, rushed to the scene. Forced to eject from their aircraft, the two TAC members encounter a group of young women singing songs while pedaling their 10-speed bicycles down a mountain path. Claiming to be a cycling club from Daito Women's University, they willingly comply with the orders to leave the area. Meanwhile, Hokuto and Minami are assigned the task of transporting an important diode to the damaged radar base, but a literal run-in with one of the bicycle girls results in the loss of the diode, which was apparently stolen during the accident. TAC reasons that Radar Base Number 2 will be the next target, so they carefully patrol the area, leading Hokuto into direct contact with the Daito Cycling Club once more. Playing a hunch, he stays with the girls all day and into the night, learning the strange secret of their identity as disembodied pieces of terrible monster Unatang converge upon him. Episode 11, which was first broadcast June 16, 1972, is very satisfying, beginning with Chief Monster Unatang, whose design and powers are well realized, earning it a prolonged battle scene with Ultraman Ace, and an appropriately graphic demise. Likewise, the concept of 10 bicycle-riding college-aged women turning into a terrible monster is one that is so randomly imaginative that it simply entertains. But while all this madness is unfolding, there's a strong story about the bond between Hokuto and Minami being told, especially from her perspective. She trusts Hokuto implicitly when no one else does, and it's her resolve and faith in her ultra partner that ultimately saves the day. For Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule review, this is Mark Matzke reporting.
For survival when an enemy world hurtles toward a doomed Earth in Battle of the Worlds. Our spaceships are decimated when the invading planet's insurmountable pull of gravity begins a shattering cosmic destruction. Only one scientific mind can stop the stellar holocaust.
Your days are numbered. I prefer that you speak before the United Commission.
He alone knows there are only 80 days to live, and he must convince the world of this threatening catastrophe. Can he find the formula that will save the Earth? Feel the torment of desperate passions as men and women live the last panic-filled hours of love in history's final chapter. Heroic astronauts brave the cold and lifeless void of space as they prepare for battle when the enemy's super-electronic brain launches a surprise attack of its awesome flying saucers.
They're overtaking us!
They're overtaking us!
We must maneuver freely.
But to win, they must land on the foreboding crust of the hostile planet and destroy forever the soulless power of its monstrous hidden brain. Starring Claude Rains in his most challenging role.
Watch out, Eve!
A prophetic motion picture, 5 years in the making. You must see Of the World.
Hello there, Monster Kid Radio heads. This is Kenny with a look at Famous Monsters of Filmland. Today we are going to hear a panel discussion with Claude Rains' daughter from the 2024 Summer Monster Bash. I found this little gossip in the Headlines from Horrorsville section of FM 38 from April of 1965. It has a Bash and Rains family connection. Let's hear it. Claude Rains, the original Invisible Man, is feeling much better now after having been hospitalized for 2 weeks for tired blood. Rains entered the hospital after 4 performances in So Much of Earth, So Much of Heaven in New Hope, Pennsylvania. At that time, the Playhouse staff was besieged by calls from newspapermen both at the theater and at their homes. The London Times called the New Hope police chief at 4 a.m. for the phone number of the producers, the press agent, and the general manager. However, no one was at liberty to give out any info. So when the producer got a call from a man who identified himself as Edward Brash, son-in-law of Rains, he was naturally dubious. The cautious producer told the caller, "Before I can reveal any information, I'll have to call you back to make certain the call is official." The telephone number Brash gave turned out to be at Time magazine, and they informed him that yes, they did have a Mr. Brash working for them. But he didn't wait for Brash to answer. He quickly hung up the phone, not at all amused by the obvious trickery. Hours after the entire theater staff had chuckled over the shrewdness of ambitious newsmen, however, the Theater Guild called the producer to say that Rain's daughter was in their office and wanted to know how he was. Her name? Mrs. Edward Brash, whose husband, the producer learned, happened to be on the Time Life staff. Rains may have been happy to hear that invisibility, which was a dream in 1933, today is quite a reality. At least according to a New York magic shop it is. Displayed in their window is a large fish tank labeled African Invisible Fish. Pretty good crowds gather each day to view the invisible fish and seemingly go away satisfied. Some even borrow the owner's magnifying glass for a better look. That is all for this week's look at Famous Monsters of Filmland. We will have more next time. For MKR, this is Kenny saying adios.
Notorious.
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 She was a notorious woman of many desires.
He was an adventurous man of purpose.
Their secret love swept them on to the brink of disaster.
This is a very strange love affair.
Why?
Maybe the fact that you don't love me.
When I don't love you, I'll let you know.
You haven't said anything.
Actions speak louder than words.
See Notorious. Produced by Alfred Hitchcock, master of suspense. For tense dramatic impact,
See Notorious. Starring Cary Grant, Ingrid Bergman, and a story of danger and bold intrigue.
see Notorious.
Yep. Welcome again to Monster Bash. We're so happy you're all here. It's time to have fun and back again. What a great guest lineup we've had, and we have this year, and we are so happy and proud to have the daughter of Claude Rains here, Jessica Rains. Jessica, Marshall, help me.
Go. Okay, I'm here. I'm on it.
All right. Well, I'm going to just ask a couple of questions, because I know all of you have lots and lots of questions. Jessica not only has a very famous father, but she also acted in many things. And how did you start? Did your dad get you into the acting scene?
I don't get it. I was in college at an all-girls college in Vermont, and Williams College, which is an all-boys college nearby, needed girls to be in their theater, in their plays. So they had heard that I was at Bennington, and I think they assumed that I was interested in acting, which I wasn't. And they sent a cute guy with red hair to ask me to come and do a part in a play. I don't even remember what play it was. And I thought, oh, he's cute, really. And that was the beginning. I did a lot of plays there. I did musicals. I had a great time. I fell in love a couple of times. And then when I graduated, I knew I had to tell my father that I wanted to be an actress, and I was very nervous because I thought he would be upset. And I told him, and he said to me, okay, what do you want to do now? And I said, I want a year in New York. And he says, you got it. And that was it. And I went to New York and I studied acting, and I was a stage manager, and I sewed costumes, and I ran a line board, and I did all the crap that you have to do to find out about the theater. And then I started getting acting jobs, and that's how it started.
Okay, and you did a lot of TV as well.
But that was generally after I moved back to Los Angeles.
Right. And what about some of the, I actually had a small part in The Sting, and how did all that come about?
Well, interestingly enough, I didn't want anybody to know that I was the daughter of this man with this incredible voice. I didn't have that incredible voice. And I wanted to do it by myself. It seems kind of stupid right now. So people did not know, generally. But a cute thing happened when I got a part in the first women's lib movie that was ever done, called Stand Up and Be Counted. And it was a good part. I played the foreman in a bra factory who staged a riot. And I had a great old time, and Jackie Cooper was directing. And nobody knew about my father. I mean, I didn't ever say anything, and people generally didn't ask. Probably because even though we had the same last name, or I had his name, he was 48 when I was born. So it was like there was a big age difference, and people didn't kind of think that, I guess, make the connection. And at the end of the shoot, or almost the end, Jackie Cooper said to me, "Can I ask you a question?" He's directing the movie, right? And I said, sure. And he said, "Are you by any chance Claude Rains' daughter?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he did something adorable. He had a chair made for me. He went to the art department and he had them write my name on the back of one of those director's chairs, and he brought it to me on the set and made a little speech, and it's really sweet.
Before we talk more about your father or take questions here, this actually is about your father. We've all seen your father in so much. I mean, it's just, the resume is incredible. What was he like as a person? And what was it? Can you give us...
Okay, first of all, he had 6 wives. Unlike what goes on today, he didn't date, he just married them. And my mother was his 4th. And he had 1 child, and that was me. He was charming. He was loving. He was very interested when I was working in New York. He would follow me around and come see plays that I was in very strange places. I worked at a theater called the La Mama Theater in New York, which was a kind of unconventional theater. We did kind of wacky plays on the 2nd floor of an old office building. And he came to see me in a play there, and I was very nervous because I had no idea what he would think or say. And when it was over and we met to leave the theater, he said to me, "This is a fire trap." That was it. That was it.
That's great.
And another one was I was doing in Morristown, New Jersey. I was doing a play with Jeffrey Lynn, who he had been in a film with 100 years ago. Four Daughters, maybe? It was Jeffrey Lynn and Four Daughters? I don't remember. Anyway, and I was playing Jeffrey Lynn's girlfriend in Thousand Climbers. And he came to see it. I was afraid that maybe he came as much to see Jeffrey as he did to see me. And when it was over, and I had the lead in the play, the Sandy Dennis part. And when it was over, I was in the dressing room and I was paralyzed. I didn't know what he would say. I didn't know what he would think. I was afraid. I was nervous. And the stage manager came to me and he said, "Jessica, come on, you've got your father sitting in the theater and he's waiting for you when everybody's left the theater." So I went and sat down next to him and this is what he said to me: "Don't ever look at the floor."
I've heard you tell this story before, but maybe not everyone here has heard this. Like, didn't you go to a theater and watch, I think, The Invisible Man with your father?
Yeah, I was about 10. We lived on a farm in Chester County at Tobago. And this farm was between two small towns, Downingtown and Coatesville. And there was a revival of The Invisible Man. I didn't know this. I didn't really know he was an actor. I thought he was a farmer. And I didn't do that. We lived on the farm, and when he was cast in a movie, he went back to Los Angeles and did the film, and then he came back to the farm where he preferred to be. And he said to me, "Okay, put on your coat, and we're leaving. We're going into Downingtown." Okay. So we went into Downingtown. He had a heavy coat on, and he had his handboard on, and he had the scarf over his face with the Invisible Man. And we went up to this theater, this little movie theater in Downingtown, where the man in the box office owned the theater and made the popcorn and showed you to your seat. He was the whole thing. And my father, who thought he was being incognito, said, "I'll have 2 tickets, please." And the man went absolutely berserk. And the voice is a dead giveaway. And so he said, "Oh, no, Mr. Reyes, I cannot let you pay." And my father said, "Oh, no, I must pay." And this went on for a while. And then we went in and sat in the last row. And this was the first movie that used the kind of special effects that you see in the film. And he could not help himself, but in a too loud voice was telling me throughout the whole damn film how they did the special effects. And when the movie was over and the lights went on, everybody in the theater was turned around facing him.
That's great. Well, I know Claude Rains, besides The Invisible Man, we all know from the Lost World, The Phantom of the Opera, The Wolfman. It just goes on and on. The Clairvoyant, that's a really cool film. If you've never seen that, it's really great. So let's take some questions for Jessica. Way in the back, in the gray. Max, that's you.
You said your father didn't talk about his acting career. Did he talk about any films he especially liked or disliked?
Disliked about what?
Did your father talk about films that he liked or disliked? Maybe?
Never. Oh, I mean, never. I had, not only did he not talk about it, he never saw anything he was in except for The Invisible Man. He wasn't interested in the final product. He was interested in the process. And the process is pretty exciting. I mean, he didn't talk to me about his career. He didn't talk to me about mine, except maybe not to look at the ground.
Okay, more questions for Jester Raines. Saul, little Saul here.
Did your father keep a gosh?
Did what? Did your father keep any movie props from any of his films?
No.
Okay, in blue.
Jessica, what was your favorite part that you played?
My favorite what?
Your favorite part that you've played.
Oh, that I played. Well, I like the process too. So, I mean, they were all different. One of the most interesting ones was I was in a film called Islands in the Stream, which is with George Scott and David Hemmings, which was based on a Hemingway book. I don't think it was a very good movie, but we went to the casting director. I went to talk to the casting director in LA. They were all already in Hawaii. And a casting director who I knew said to me, you know, I would really love you to do this part, Jessica, but it's for a Czech immigrant. And we need to have somebody who's Czech. And I said, my mother is Czech, which was true. And he said, do you have a passport? I mean, that's one way to get a job, right? So off I went to Hawaii. I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. I was there for 5 weeks because they were waiting for the sun to come out, or I can't remember it, but something wasn't happening that was supposed to happen. And it was fun. David Hemmings was terrific. He organized some gambling on the island of Kauai, and George Scott was drunk all the time. Hildy Brooks was playing my relative, and the first day they took us out to a boat. We were really looking really immigrant-y, and they took us out to a boat and set the boat on fire. That was a little disturbing. Anyway.
Okay, more questions? Okay, the hat.
Did your father have any stories from this side of Casablanca at all?
Did your father, like Messenger, talk about stories from Casablanca?
No. I mean, you have to remember that I was very young at the height of his career. I mean, I was a kid, and I lived on a farm in Pennsylvania. I mean, I wasn't really aware of all this. So. You don't talk to your 10-year-old kid about your career. I don't think, if you're a doctor or an actor or a miner or whatever. And he did. I know later on, secret. He talked more about it. He told me that he thought he would die waiting for his agent to call. And he also said that you should not be an actor unless you have to be. It's too hard. And it is the acting that's hard. The acting for me was always fun. It's thinking that every part is going to be the last job you'll ever have. That's weird. I mean, it's, you know.
Okay, more questions for, over on this side.
Yes, you grew up on a farm. Was that just an individual family farm? Was it a business producing for outside the family?
One of the happiest days of his life was when the farm made money, started to make money. It was 600 acres, was crops, was 50 head of steer that were raised and sold every year in Lancaster. You know, it was wheat, hay, oats, barley. And my job was the chickens, and I hated those chickens. I had to go and move the chickens to get the eggs, and they squawk and they peck at you when they
Okay.
Why? She did.
Yeah, she did chickens.
That was my job.
Oh!
What do you know?
Okay, Samantha.
Hi, Miss Rain. So I know that you made us all very aware that you weren't aware of your father's career when you were younger. So what I'm wondering is, now that you're older and you maybe are more familiar with his work, like, how do you feel seeing him in movies when as a kid you weren't ever exposed to his involvement in the films?
Very proud. I mean, I'm very proud of him. I mean, I think he was incredible. Mm-hmm. And he was not, you know, he never went to acting school. He never, I mean, that's all the things that I did, he didn't do. He was, he never went to school past his second grade. He was recruited to be an extra at a theater when he was in the second grade, and he never went back to school. And he grew up working in the theater. He was a call boy, went around saying 10 minutes, Mr. Jones, you know, whatever. And he became a stage manager. He was a prompter, and he became a stage manager. And I mean, he really worked himself up. And it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing to me. The career is amazing. And from the background that he came from, which was really crappy, he was one of 11 children, and all but 2 died from poverty-related illnesses. I mean, come on. Crazy. Yeah.
Okay, more questions suggested. Todd, did you have one?
Well, I had a follow-up to the farm question. Was there a farm activity that he enjoyed?
A what?
Was there a farm activity?
Farm.
Yeah, that.
He had a vegetable garden that was the size of this room. And he did not allow anybody else in that vegetable. And my poor mother had to can all these vegetables. There were 3 of us, you know. And she also made butter from the cow's milk in a churn. This was a Jew from the Bronx. She's churning butter.
Okay, more questions? And just up here.
Our daughter is an actress in New York, struggling actress. I wondered if you had any advice.
What?
Okay, her daughter's a struggling actress in New York, and she wondered if you had any advice for young actresses.
At what point is she working at all?
Well, she's just auditioning.
She's auditioning and just starting out, and it just means. Okay, she's just been struggling to make it.
I mean, what I did was I just took any job I could get in the theater. And so I spent 2 years really working backstage. And I studied. I studied with a great man by the name of Lee Strasberg for 4 years, 4 or 5 years. And just gotta do what you get. Keep going to auditions and it's hard.
And perseverance.
But I loved it. I like the auditioning part the best of anything. I mean, now when they cast you in, as far as television and film are concerned, you tape yourself at home and you send it to them over the internet. But come on. And that means that nobody could give you an adjustment. Nobody could say, play it faster, play it for comedy, play it slower, do this, do that. They just see what you did. I liked the auditioning because I liked the feedback. I liked meeting the people and having them. I mean, I had some bad experiences. I auditioned for something once and the director was eating a submarine sandwich through the whole audition. I mean, it's a very different business now, I think.
Okay, more questions for Jessica Raines, all the way in the back there.
That one of my favorite abilities was Arabian.
He just wanted to make the statement that your father is terrific in Lawrence of Arabia.
He was very sick. They were in, wasn't Morocco, it was Barcelona or something, I can't remember. And he had one bad meal. I don't know what he ate, but he was not well the whole time.
Okay, we have time for maybe 2 more questions.
Why is it so cold in here?
I have on a sweatshirt. I've gone twice now in the last couple hours to the front desk asking for it to knock off the AC. And I guess after this, I'll be doing it a third. Okay, Dan Brennis had a question, I think.
First of all, I want to say it's so nice seeing you again.
Thank you.
I met you back
I'm on the back of his T-shirt.
Yeah, 2000.
Sit up there. All right, there you go.
So, I found you a charming lady back then. I find you a charming lady now. You're wonderful. I think you're a wonderful actress in your own way. And of course, your dad was great. I have 2 questions for you, real quick. First of all, what was your dad's pet peeves concerning as a human being first, and then as an actor towards other actors? What really irritated him, or what did he not like? And then, did he ever mention to you his other passions in life, like in the art?
Okay, his big passion, other than acting, was fixing up old houses. And when we lived on the farm in Chester County, he bought a house that was built in the late 1600s. And he fixed it up according to what it would have been. So one of the things was that they had the handles of the doors were made of iron, and they, you push them up. And he and I would go, well, I was a kid, on the weekends to Lancaster because he found a forger who could make these iron handles in exactly the way that they were made when the house was originally built. Cool. And he was a stickler about that kind of thing.
Okay, one more question right here.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
So I told a story of a documentary about how your father on a Halloween night, he dressed up as the Phantom of the Opera and like a bit of Adnan came anyways, and the guys, you and a friend of yours dressed up as like goblins.
Oh, yeah.
Like a soliloquy or something like that. Was that just like a one-off session, or like when he took you out trick-or-treating, did he ever dress up as like the Invisible Man with the bandages?
At the end.
Okay, yeah, he was recounting when your dad dressed up as the Phantom of the Opera. Then he wondered if he
did it more? Like maybe next Halloween?
Oh, we did it every Halloween for a couple of years. I mean, we were young. We were. Okay, I better do this story quickly. On Halloween, he went to I think Universal, and got the cape from the Phantom of the Opera, and he put this cape on and the top hat, and my mother would drive us, me and my two friends, Mary Rowland Haight and Jan Decker, and I were dressed as imps. And my mother would drive us to houses of people that we knew. I mean, we didn't do this to people, strangers. And he would knock at the door. My father would recite some Halloween poem. I don't know what the hell it was. And then he would open his cape, and the three imps would come out and take trick or treat. And then, of course, we would be invited into the house and offered. The adults were drinking, and the kids just wanted to go on and go do something else. This went on for a couple of years.
I would have loved to open the door and have that happen. Well, we are so happy to have Jessica Rates, and I think Ursula has something special for Jessica here. These are chocolates made by one of our vendors. They're made from a company right here in Pittsburgh. It's the Pink House. For Jessica Rates from the Monster Bash.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Monster Kid Radio. I appreciate having you here, and I especially appreciate you sharing the show. So no matter what social media platform you happen to be on, Facebook, X, wherever, please consider retweeting tweets or sharing posts or whatever it is they do to help spread the word and get the algorithm to start promoting Monster Kid Radio, because the more Monster Kids we have listening to this podcast, the better. I'm excited to see where Monster Kid Radio is going to go. I'm actually feeling pretty good about all things considered. Yes, I'm going to miss the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to miss a lot of my friends. I actually just met up with Chris McMillan from the Shadow over Portland yesterday, and just, had a really good time hanging out with him and all of that. And, he's been somebody that's been part of Monster Kid Radio from the beginning. He helped launch the show. He was in episode number 1. He's an important person for Monster Kid Radio, an important person for me as well, as is everybody that I've met up here in the Pacific Northwest through Monster Kid Radio or various Monster Kid events. So, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm still kind of processing some of my feelings regarding leaving the area and going down to Arizona, but I'm looking forward to meeting people down in Arizona. And of course, Monster Kid Radio is not going anywhere thanks to the efforts of Mike and Steve Turek. He actually just sent me a message this morning saying that he didn't just have 1, not 2, but 3 guest episodes that he's working on as well. So we've got a lot of content coming for Monster Kid Radio while we make the move, and I'm excited to bring you the latest and greatest in Monster Kid activity in the Southwest of America. But don't worry, I'm still up here in the Pacific Northwest for now, and as I kind of finish up Brother D's last ride, for now, in the Pacific Northwest, I'm going to keep bringing you what I can here. Okay, head over to monsterkidradio.net. You're going to find links to everything you need to know about Monster Kid Radio over there, including links to our Facebook page and our contact information over there, our Twitter or X or whatever you call it these days, Reddit, Patreon, Discord, it's all there, including our Amazon affiliate link. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, please consider using that affiliate link because it does help us out a little bit. I only make a couple bucks a month that way, but every little bit helps, especially since it's going to cost money to move me from the Pacific Northwest down to Arizona. So, yeah, if you can help out that way, if you're shopping for anything on Amazon, I'd really appreciate it. What is coming up next week on the show? Well, we have another recording from Monster Bash, courtesy of Mike, and it is a Q&A with Elizabeth Shepard. She's an actress, and we probably know her best as somebody who worked with Vincent Price and Roger Corman on The Tomb of Ligeia. So she is going to be joining us next week. Now, I have listened to about half of that recording already, and she does talk about Tomb of Ligeia, but she also talks about Damien, Omen 2. So that'll be fun, man. It's a great conversation, and she's really into it. I mean, I talk about Jessica being into this week's Q&A. Next week, man, Elizabeth is like, she's a dramatic person, and I would love to just kind of hang out with her and hear her read anything. I'd say read a phone book, but who uses a phone book anymore? Anyway, so that's coming up next week. Elizabeth Shepard's Q&A from Monster Bash on the show. So stay tuned and make sure you come back for that.
Monster Kid Radio is a Team Death production. All original content of Monster Kid Radio is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 Unported license. You can learn more about Team Death or other projects like Death Designs, Mail Order Zombie, Monster Kid Writer, and more at www.teamdeath.com. Remember, death is spelled D-E-T-H. That's teamdeath.com. Please rate and review Monster Kid Radio wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
Expo 58 is copyright Slingshot Bikini. It's from their album Ultimo Hombre, and you can find them at slingshotbikini.bandcamp.com, or you can look them up on Instagram under Slingshot Bikini. Check them out. Let them know that Monster Kid Radio sent you. My name's Sarah Kim Cook. I'll talk to everybody next week. Ciao.